Welcome back. Today we are working in the food forest. This food forest is coming into its third year, and if you're familiar with the old axiom, the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. That's talking about trees. And so these trees behind us are just about to wake up. Some of them are already waking up and putting on some blooms. So we want to give them a good running start by giving them some feed and giving them some mulch and just hoping for the best. Mostly we mulch these before. Get a little hurricane lily down in there. We don't really have anything to chop and drop with right now, but we do have some pine chips, so we'll feed with those and use that for now, and then later in the year we'll be throwing Mexican sunflower and other stuff on top of them. This is a plum that is a seedling. It's either a plum or a pluot, something from the store that we started the seeds from. It's blooming for the first time this year. But I want to get these big water sprouts out of here. They're not necessary. I'd like to get that a little closer, but I would need a pruning saw to do it. There we go. For the ginger, you can go back. After about a day of work, we have weeded around the trees, and we fed them a little bit of the micronutrient mix, the Steve's mix. You don't have to do that. If you have compost, if you have chop and drop, even if you have mixed wood chip mulch, all those things will feed the trees, keep the roots cool as well. And so we threw that down, and then we threw pine chips on them. Pine chips don't really rot down much at all, but we have an almost endless supply of chipped up pine, and it just will keep the ground cool. So we added a little bit of food because we used all of our compost in the gardens. So the big lack that we have out here is that we don't have enough nitrogen fixers and chop and drop plants. So that's going to happen once we're really sure it's not going to frost again. I have a whole bunch of things planted that we're going to plant all through here. They're all in pots right now. We'll transplant them out here. I just want to make sure that we transplant them after all danger of frost, so we don't end up planting out 40 or 50 little trees and then getting them all killed. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we did today and kind of just give you the overview of what we decided to do to just get this thing jumping this spring. In this area, we made a new island. We had planted in islands and then just sort of mowed around it. But you've seen me sheet mulch and make like intense islands. This is a pathway. This is an island, or a plant guild if you want to be kind of cool and permaculturally and technical about it. This is a seedling plum. And then right next to it is a honey locust. Black locust. It's thorny, but it's not quite as thorny as a honey locust can get, and it's a better nitrogen fixer from what I've heard. And then we've got thornless blackberry, thornless blackberry, thornless blackberry. Some of these thornless blackberries actually started the other ones because we bury the ends of the tips in the ground to get them to start new ones. This is a wax myrtle. This is another native nitrogen fixer. And we just threw more mulch around here, got the weeds out, And if we wanted to, we could come out here and we could transplant in some vegetables. Most of our really intense vegetable planting is going on over in our grocery row gardens, but there's no reason at the early parts of a food forest that you can't just pop in vegetables, perennial herbs, or what I like to do, make little hills and plant pumpkins and watermelons and let them run around as a ground cover. But this little island right here, we could probably throw a little more mulch on it. We threw a little micronutrients, we threw a little mulch, we got the grass out of here, and it's nice and open, and this tree is just waking up. So it's gonna wake up with some nice mulch around it instead of some thick grass, so there'll be less root competition, and maybe we'll actually get some plums. I think this thing is about 4 years old now from a seed, so it's about time. Looks like it's gonna make blooms all up here and through here, so we might actually get some plums, and we'll see what in the world we started, because we have no idea. This beautiful little tree right here is a Japanese Fuyu persimmon. Last year we harvested a good bit off of it. There was a rotten oak, so I just dumped the rotten oak chunks that we cut up around this tree to rot down and become soil. Remember, it'll all rot down and become soil. And then I threw some more mulch over it, and we gave it a little bit of micronutrients. There's some elephant garlic growing down here. There's a couple other perennials that will pop up as it gets warmer. Probably some of them I threw oak pieces on top of, but we're always propagating. It's not like we're short on plants. Over here we put in a tune tree, also known as Chinese mahogany. It has edible leaves that taste rather garlicky. This is the first time we've grown these before. I had tasted them before. I think I tried them in the past. I think it was Josh Jameson of Cody Cove Farms that introduced me to this species originally. I started these from seeds last year, grew them up in the greenhouse to a transplantable size. They're supposed to be pretty cold hardy, and there was a guy that's not that far away from me that had a good looking one that went through some real cold, so I'm hopeful that it'll live. But it's interesting because it's actually, apparently it's a pretty good wood like mahogany, but it also has edible leaves, which are kind of neat. It's dual purpose, so you could coppice it and get a lot of it, or just let it grow up into a big tree and I guess make a house out of it or something. Maybe make a guitar out of it. Then we put in this one. I still have the tag on the bottom. I've got to note what it is. This is a, looks like Matzo Rotso, I don't know. It is a type of non-astringent persimmon. I got this from Luke at A Natural Farm. If he's watching this video, you can tell me how in the world you pronounce that, or I'll look it up online and try to figure out what it is. It's written in cursive, so this needs a little bit more sun, so I put it here at the edge. The only thing that might shade it is that old Dodge truck over there, and this popcorn tree, which is eventually coming out of here. This tree is only allowed to remain here because I am growing a little pawpaw at the base of it, and pawpaws need shade until they're 3 or 4 years old, and it's about a 2-year-old pawpaw at the base of it, a little bitty thing right now. And when it gets bigger, I'll cut this tree down. But right now, it's basically acting as a nurse for that tree. This is the world's fastest growing hardwood tree. This is Paulownia tomentosa. It has a tendency to be invasive in some areas, so you got to be careful with it, but it is also a nitrogen fixer, and it has a very light wood that is really good for building musical instruments out of and small furniture. It doesn't weigh very much, but it is a hardwood, and it can get to harvestable size in 8 years from seed. I started this from a seed about a year and a half ago. Look at how big it is. It was this big when it came up. This is a heck of a tree. It already is trying to bloom, which is pretty scary, but it'll be a good chop and drop, and it's a good experiment for us to grow one here, where if it really starts to get out of control, we could just light it on fire or something. Put a few more, I don't know what this thing is. I found this in a lot and I planted it. I'm not sure what type of tree it is, but it looks like it's going to live. It's got one little piece coming out of the side there that looks like it's going to put on a bud. Then I got this one. This is a Ikikikijiro persimmon. I think I said that right. That's a good one. I got another tree here. I don't know what it is. Well, I would say right, it's in the stick family, Stickiaceae. And then the one I'm really excited about this year, these three right here are Sapindus saponaria, the Florida soapberry. If you've ever heard of soap nut trees, like you can wash your clothes with them, they're a natural soap. This is Sapindus saponaria. I got these from Sam at Scrubland Farms. I originally gave him some, and then he propagated a whole bunch of them, and I eventually got them back. So, you know, you share and things come back to you. It's one of those principles. But I planted 3 of them right here, and the reason for this is because they come in male, female, and hermaphroditic forms. So some of them self-pollinate, some of them will not bear fruit, some of them only make male, some of them do bear fruit. So for the sake of luck, there's 3 of them right here to grow as one tree, and we're certain, pretty much certain, to get fruit on at least 1 of the 3, and maybe 2 or 3. We'll see. We'll see how it works. But we put 3 of them right here, and it's gonna be fun to watch them grow. We're kind of right at the edge of their range, I think, on cold, but we'll see. We'll see. They have survived down into the teens in North Florida, so if they live, that would be great. Be exciting, and we could have our own soap. This is a seedling chestnut that we started about probably 2 years ago, and it almost got knocked over. This area right here is where we've been yanking out Chinese wisteria, and I almost knocked it over, and we gave it a little bit of micronutrients and mulched it, and hopefully, I don't know, these wisteria are going to come back again, and we're going to keep fighting them, but maybe we'll just use them as chop and drop on it until we can eradicate it. That's why this area right here is such a wreck, is because I know it's just going to keep coming back, and I tried to tear it all out as much as I could. But chestnuts are a really good one to plant in your food forest because they can produce faster than pecans do. In just a few years you can have chestnuts instead of waiting 8 or 10 years, and they are a really good nut. They're not quite as storable, but they're kind of fill in the gap where you would have a grain. So you could use it like a grain, you could cook it, make flours out of it, that sort of thing. A little more carbohydrate rich and a little less oily, but nice delicious flavor. I really like them boiled. Every time I roast them, they don't turn out very well. They just taste kind of weird and bitter. But boiled chestnuts, when they're soft, are really good. Rather like a white sweet potato. So I'm excited to see. We've got about 5-6 chestnuts of various types in here. We've got a couple of Dunstans, we got some Chinese, and then this one was a seedling I started from a pretty nice looking tree that was just up the road from us, and they should be giving us some nuts. We might even get a few nuts this year, we'll see. There'll be a few less members of the Stickiaceae family in here in a month or two. Everything is about to wake up, and we just wanted to get a head start on this and kind of clear some things out and get things mulched and ready to roll before all the weeds and vines start kicking in and everything starts blooming. So, you know, first year, second year, third year, this is the 3rd year we're coming into, so this should be very exciting. And when it really wakes up and looks great sometime in May or June or so, I'll take you on a great big tour through here and kind of run through the species and show you what it looks like in its 3rd year. If you want to learn more about food forests, I put a video up called How to Start a Food Forest the Easy Way, which is one of my more popular videos, and that one would be a good one to check out. And if you want help starting a food forest, you want to check out my food forest course, if you join our school, you can get the food forest course and just watch it for free. I mean, you have to pay to join school, but you don't have to pay for the course. It's just one of those extra things that comes in. We've got a lot of videos over there. We've got an active community, and we are doing the Grow 500 challenge this spring to help people grow 500 pounds of food in their backyards. But the food forest course has 5 installments up so far, and there are more coming as it's warming up, and I've got a little space to film again instead of freezing. This was all under snow just over a month ago, which is crazy because it was probably about 70 degrees today, and it's not been freezing, and it doesn't look like it's going to freeze again. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, tell me about your food forest in the comments if you've got any questions. You don't have to throw micronutrients on them. I do recommend mulching. I think you should have a lot of chop and drop, but use what you have. Look, I'm going to show you different things that I'm playing around with. Like, I have done so many different methods over the years, and guess what? We've grown food for years We've had fruit trees that were fed with mulch and with compost and with expired vegetables in big piles. We've ground up sunflower stalks and fed them to our plants. We've done all kinds of different methods. We've used liquid fertilizers. We've used fish emulsion. The thing is just to try to take care of your plants and baby them a little bit in the first few years to really get them rolling and get that food forest kicking so it produces for you faster. But even if you don't, just get some stuff in the ground, and whatever lives, some of it is bound to bear you some food at some point. So don't give up. Don't get hung up on a method like, oh, did you say this and did you say this? No, it's not that hard. Stick a bunch of stuff in the ground. The stuff that doesn't do well, chop it down and feed it to the stuff that does do well, and just let nature select it out. It's not that hard. Catch you all next time. And until then, may your thumbs always be green.